maybe we can request, was Mr. Banson the president at the time?
Yes po, sir po.
So maybe we can request Mr. Dodo Banson. Is Mr. Banson with us now?
Yes,
Po kasama natin.
yes,
Ayan.
Mr.
Yes, Mr. Banson, go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, there were after it was reported about this discrepancy on the that reported by Treasury that there was a discrepancy on the payment of what was reported as payment in the bank, then what was actually repeated to Philhealth, and when we discovered this diversion of checks, 5 staff of IT department who had access to the database were immediately removed. Their access was removed. They were then put under preventive suspension, and then an investigation was started on these 5 employees, Your Honor. So I could not recall the exact details, but there were I think on the ad hoc committees, on the composition of the ad hoc committees, but these committees then did the administrative investigation of the 5, Your Honor.
Mr. Banson, just a question. In your investigation, paano po nila nagawa yung modus operandi na natanggal sa Metro Bank at napunta sa mga personal accounts ng mga tao?
Your Honor, what we have learned in the investigation, not of the 5, but when we is that there was about 10 checks, Your Honor. These checks were premium payments for October 2010, December 2010, and February to September 2011, totaling about 144 million. This all happened before I became CEO of Philhealth in October 2011. So these checks were basically what happened is these were checks that was purchased, Citibank manager's check purchased by Accenture, payable to Philhealth, and yet they found a way to bring it to 2 branches in Batangas of a bank, Metro Bank, and they were able to find a way to get the money given to unknown people, Your Honor.
From the 2 banks in Batangas, they were able to withdraw it.
Yes, Your Honor. They were able to withdraw the money.
To identify the personnel who were able to identify. Philhealth personnel po ang nag-withdraw.
We never knew, Your Honor. This was referred to the National Bureau of Investigation to investigate who were able to withdraw the money.
RETANAL, nandiyan po ba kayo? Thank you, Mr. Banson. Attorney RETANAL, nandiyan po ba kayo? Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Oo. Nakuha nyo na po ba kung sino yung nag-withdraw doon sa huli?
Sir, without mentioning the account numbers or the personnel, yes, we were able to determine the account holders. However, if you may allow me to state the antecedent facts so that you will be enlightened on what actually happened.
Kindly proceed.
Yes. The checks were actually the 10 checks of Citibank. Sorry, sir, I wasn't able to mention it, that it was 10 checks, which covers 10 months premium. Monthly, Accenture remits payments through its messenger. A messenger brings it to supposedly he brings it to the Philhealth office, and then a corresponding receipt be issued to him, and which in turn he gives back to the in charge employee of Accenture. However, it was found that that these checks were actually not deposited to Philhealth, and that to the Philhealth bank account, but rather these checks were cleared in a bank in Batangas, and 2 branches of a bank in Batangas. But what happened actually is that the checks were intercepted from the messenger, and he was given, because it's a working of a syndicate, the messenger was provided with a fake receipt whenever he tries to pay to allegedly pay it to PhilHealth. A fake receipt will be provided to him.
Ma'am, from Citibank to Metrobank, dun po na-intercept.
No, sir. Na-intercept po siya through the messenger of Accenture. Parang messagerial service ng Accenture.
Saan po galing yung cheque from Accenture to Citibank? Kasi di
Bali,
ba,
sir, hindi. Yung Accenture, nagpe-prepare siya ng check payments. Nagpe-prepare po sila ng check payments. Tapos this check will be then, sir, syempre hindi na yung employee ng Accenture ang nagdadala, kundi meron silang messagerial service. Siya po yung supposedly nagdadala ng check. Kasi safe naman dahil check ito. Dinadala niya, supposed to be, dadali niya sa PhilHealth office kung saan siya magbabayad. However, we were able to interview this messenger. But he would not disclose kung ano talaga yung totoong nangyari. But we surmised, kasi nga po, napunta siya sa Batangas. Because this syndicate is actually like that of Land Bank scam. If you will recall, it's intended for BIR payments, but it was deposited to private accounts. It's a similar case. But in this, what's peculiar about this case is that there's a corresponding float in the IT system of PhilHealth. Unlike in the case of BIR,
may kakontsaba sa PhilHealth dahil nai-input na may pumasok?
yes, sir. Parang ganito yung workings ng syndicate. Meron silang siguro na bayaran na cohort within PhilHealth. Possible also that the messenger, somehow he was, nung sinabi po kasi namin sa kanya noon na may namatay na bank employee. Medyo nag-ano siya, pero hindi pa rin siya, he still made the stand na tama yung ginawa niya. Pero sabi namin, paano napunta yung cheque sa Batangas kung sa PhilHealth mo talaga to dinala? Pero ang theory po is hindi talaga niya dinala to sa PhilHealth office. Just like in the previous case of Land Bank, may intercept na yung cheque. And then, the check, bakit siya na-clear? Then the syndicate also has corrupted an employee of the bank who is in charge of the clearing. Yung clearing po, supposed to be, meron siyang ka-corresponding, yung checks po na ini-issue ng Accenture, meron siyang corresponding check of similar amount. Parang tawag po namin doon is counterpart check. So the counterpart check is the one deposited in the bank. However, since manual po yung clearing, this bank employee intercepts, nasa kanya na yung intercepted Citibank check. So what he will do is that hinahanap niya kung ano yung corresponding amount ng Citibank check which was deposited to a private account. Tapos ang gagawin po niya, dudukutin niya, siya po kasi yung in charge doon sa listing. Kumbaga sa clearing. So since manual, dudukutin niya yung...
Ma'am, sa mga tuwido, parang minamatch niya yung pinipeke nila para magmukhang nandun talaga yung pondo.
Yes, sir. Ang gagawin, hindi. Parang imamatch niya po, parang pinalalabas niya, merong actual deposit sa private sa private account. Tapos,
Attorney
ang gagawin po niya, since
Attorney
yung tinatawag na counterpart check is actually dubious check, kumbaga wala po tong value or coming from a closed account, ipapalit niya ngayon po sa clearing.
Attorney Idinetalye, I will recognize the Honorable Barbers para ho magtuloy siya ng tanong. Go ahead, Congressman Barbers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Attorney, I suppose meron kang investigation report na pinasa o sinubmit sa NBI, di ba?
Yes, sir, meron po.
At ito pong kwento na sinasabi nyo are all stipulated in that report, I also suppose, right?
Yes, sir.
Including ho ba dito, yung sinabi nyo kasi kanina, narinig ko, in-interview nyo yung messenger ba yun? Meron bang mga affidavits na in-issue yung messenger na yun tungkol dyan?
Yes, sir, meron siyang inisyong affidavit. Yun nga lang po, we treated it as untruthful.
Ano po yun? Ano po yun? Meron po bang affidavit yung messenger?
Sir, meron pong affidavit yung messenger. However, we've considered it as untruthful.
On the
Hindi
basis
po siya nagsasabi ng totoo.
So, if I were to conclude kung ano po yung storya dun sa investigation nyo, parang yung sindikato, kasabwat dito yung messenger at saka yung mga
Yes, sir. Isa po siya sa
pati yung mga taga-bangko.
Tsaka Philhealth.
meron, parang ang naging po niya, ng setup is, I have a cohort in all aspects of the transaction
Okay, sige
so
po.
that I can make the cover up.
Sa base ho dun sa investigation nyo,
Galing.
sino ho sa PhilHealth employees ang liable? Ang may liability ho dyan sa isyung yan?
Actually, sir, yun nga po, the NBI is actually asking them for a forensic examination of the database. However, due to the turn of events po kasi, because during the investigation of...
Attorney, can you be specific? Ano yung turn of events na sinasabi nyo?
Sir, yung nagkaroon po ng amicable settlement between four parties.
Is the one that stopped you from further investigating. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Because of the absence of complaining witnesses.
Okay.
And then, and at the same time, during that event din po kasi, we are also doing the investigation of one of the biggest scam in the Philippines. If you will recall, Aman Future scam. So, it's also a case that we were handling that time.
So,
Kaya po, since...
as attorney na hindi nyo na na-pursue yun because one, may sudden turn of events because PhilHealth decided to just settle amicably with Accenture, and two, you were too busy to conduct your further investigation because you were tied up with the Aman scam. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, sir. Opo.
Oh, ngayon, kasi attorney, kaya ang tanong ko, sino sa taga PhilHealth yung nakita nyong liable dyan? Diba?
Sir, initial assessment is that there was an intrusion in the IT system. Kasi nga po merong floats, now, which is unusual.
Okay.
Kumbaga sa fraud po kasi it's a deviation from the normal procedure that there's a float on that particular pending for 10 months for this particular corporation na nakapending siya, pero nag-conduct na daw sila ng audit, pero nakita pa rin siya.
Attorney, in your investigation, did you also find out that the checks that was supposed to be deposited to PhilHealth but never happened and was diverted to another account in Metrobank, pero sa PhilHealth records, it reflected na paid siya? Lumabas ba yun sa inyong investigation?
Sir, ang lumabas lang nga po, just as I stated before, it was a reconciliation float in their system, which was discovered by their Treasury Department. May initial reports din po yung IT system nila. That's why they had a referral to our office regarding these floats. Pero ang clear po doon, merong intrusion coming from an insider fraud.
Yan. Yan.
Honorable Barbers,
Yes, because there's kumbaga po sa computer, I had a remote, and one employee had a remote access on those particular crucial period when the float was discovered. Kumbaga po parang inalter yung data to make it appear that these payments were actually received by Philhealth.
Mr. Limsiaco, tanungin ko lang po, kasi 5 buwan nangyari to. Yung po bang cash at saka yung IT na pumapasok, hindi po ba kayo nagre-reconcile dyan? Kasi nakita, may cheque, pinost,